Okay guys, what we're doing now is we're going to continue on with how to display our quantitative data. And what we're going to look at today are histograms. And histograms they look like bar graphs. They have a few distinct features different from a bar graph. Most notably is the fact that the bars touch with a histogram. There's no gap in between the bars. You simply just have the bars touching each one another. And what happens is that each bar, what it does is it represents an interval of the data that you have. So we're splitting our data up into intervals. So each bar, what it's going to do is it's going to show an interval. Okay, so each bar that we have will be representative of an interval of our data, and so we'll split our data up into intervals, and then we'll do a bar from there. And what I mean by intervals is from one number to the next, and then we'll count how many of our data points fall within that interval or that range of values. And however many fall within that range or that interval of values, that's how high our bar will be. And so the heights of the bar, what they do is they show the frequencies or the relative frequencies. We can do relative frequencies with a histogram. Remember, that's the part to the whole of the values in each interval. Okay, and so we're still looking at the frequencies of each one, or the relative frequencies, but again, we're splitting our data up into intervals. And again, what's going to happen is our bars are going to touch here. So now, the reason or why we use histograms are if we have a large data set. If we're dealing with something that's very large in terms of how many data points we have, you're not going to want to you're not going to want to come up with bar graphs that show each individual data set or each individual data point. What we want to do is we want to break these things up into intervals. That way we don't have as many bars. If I have 100 data points, it's easier if I say, okay, from 0 to 20, how many data points exist from 0 to 20, and then from 21 to 40, how many data points exist from 21 to 40, and then 41 to 60. So you see, my intervals are of equal width or size 20, and I'm able to count how many exist in each of those intervals. Whereas if I'm looking at 100 data points, then I might have 100 different bars. Okay, so histograms are good for when you have a very large data set, and you still can figure out the shape, you still can figure out the symmetry of the data. Are there any outliers? What's the skewness? Do we have a single peak? Do we have two peaks, three peaks, or do we have a uniform data set? But it's important to know you don't see this often, but our intervals, the individual bars, are sometimes called, we call them bins, okay? Or sometimes you'll see them called classes. Most often, that's what we're going to call them, is we're going to call them classes. So I want you to get familiar with this term here, the classes that we have, and then very rarely do you ever see them called buckets, okay? Like I said, in this class, more times than not, what we're going to call them classes. Okay? And so here's what you got right here. If you look, what they've done is they're showing you, if you look at these three, we've got some dot plots and then we've got some histograms. They are showing you how we take a data set represented as a dot plot and then as a histogram. And so if you look right here, they have every individual data point in our set. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in right here, and if you look, we got the percent foreign born residents. Okay, and you see all you see all those dots there. Excuse me. You see all those dots there. Well, those are individual data points, and so what they've done from there is they've taken all those and they're breaking up into bins. So if you look right here, I'm going to zoom in from 0 to 5. And it's kind of hard to see, but you see a lot of individual dots there. And what they've done is over here to the right, now from 0 to 5, you see our class there, our bins. They've stacked every dot that occurred between 0 and 5, they stacked it on. So you see how much cleaner it gets when you go from 0 to 5 like this. And then same thing from 5 to 10. They counted how many dots existed from 5 to 10, and then they stacked them here. And so then when we go from that, once we get everything situated, you can tell we have a single peak data set, heavily skewed right. A lot of our data is concentrated on the left. And then from there, we create our histogram. And so if you look, we have our classes. 0 to 5 is one class. 5 to 10, or really 6 to 10, is another class. 11 to 15 is a third class. So I want you to look at the comparison between these two and the fact of they look very similar. It's just one is a dot plot, one is a histogram. And so what has happened is, again, they took all these individual data points. They broke them up into a class, and they said, okay, anything from 0 to 5 is going to fall in this bin. And so then they turn it into basically a bar graph. And so I want to point out, if you look on the vertical axis, right there, you've got frequencies. How many times do we have a data point between 0 and 5? And then how many times do we have a data point, say, from 6 to 10? How many times do we have a data point from 10 to 15? So this is looking roughly around 14. This is roughly around 19. This is roughly probably 8. This is right at 5, it's looking like. This might be roughly 3. And then I'd guess this is 1. Okay, and so the height of those bars tells you the frequency of each bin or each class that occurs. But I want to point out, histograms, guys, they always touch. They look like a bar graph, but they always touch. And we want to keep them equal width. I want to point out the fact that these bins down here, if you look, we're going 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. So you always want to keep your bins the same equal width there. You don't want to make them any different right there. You don't want to have 0 to 5 and then say 5 to 8 and then say 8 to 18. You always want to keep everything equal right there. Okay, so keep your bins equal width is what we say. So we're going to walk through one here real quick, and then I'm going to let you work on some of your own problems here. But if you look, we're going to create what we're going to do is we're going to create a frequency table, but we're going to use intervals instead. And so what happens is, if you look, our lowest value in this data set, as I'm looking at it, looks like about 119. Okay, so what I'm going to do, when you do an interval or a frequency table for a histogram, we want to do intervals. And so now what I'm going to say is, we're going to say 115 to less than 120. Okay. Again, I'm trying to keep the width of the classes the same. So 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, these have a width of 5. Well, within there, we have a class, we have one data point that falls within that bin, and that's this right here, the 119. Okay, and so I would cross that off the list. Now we want to pick up with 120, and we want to keep our width the same. We want to be less than that, so that's going to be less than 125, which means 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, the width is still 5. So what you do is you look at your data set and you go, well, how many data points do I have that are either 120, 121, 122, 123, 124? Well, I have one data point here that's 124. So the frequency count there is 1. Okay? And we're going to continue with that trend of, okay, 125 to less than, we're going to say, whoops, and I messed up here. That should be less than 130. Sorry about that. Alright, and then what will happen is then we'll pick up with 130 to less than 135. Then we'll pick up with 135 to less than 140. And then finally, because the highest data point that we have, it looks like it's going to be 141 if I'm looking at it correctly. So we need to go one more class here. We need to go 140 to less than 145. And so what I'm gonna do is Miss Mosher's gonna pause this video here. She's gonna let you count up um, how many fall into each class, and then she'll resume the play, and we'll go through how to create our histogram. So after you counted 125 to 130, you should have came up with 8 points in there. From 130 to just less than 135 should have been 12 points. From 135 to just less than 140, you should have came up with 7 values. And then from 140 to just under 145, you should have came up with 1. Okay, that should be your frequency table here. And so we have to go all the way up to 12. But what we're going to do is we're going to create our bins here. So right here, if you look, we're going to start right here with 115. And then what we'll do is we'll create, as best we can, equal width bins all the way to 145. Like you see what I'm doing here. So I'm trying to create equal width bins, and they're not going to be perfect. Okay, but I'm trying to create equal width bins, and then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to do the frequency. Now, I'm actually going to go by 2s to make our life a little easier, because the highest that we need to go to is a 12. So this will be our frequency. Again, making sure we label everything, and then this will be, we're measuring skull width is what we're measuring right here, and that's in millimeters. If you look back at the problem, we were measuring skull width, okay, in millimeters. And so what we're going to do is just simply, we're going to measure, so from 115 to 120, we had 1 data point, so we're going to draw a bar up to 1 as best we can. And if you want to shade it or you want to do some kind of design in it, that's great. And then same thing here from 120 to 125. We're just going to continue on with that. And if you want to do a different color, that's great, or a different design, you can. And then 125 to 130 was 8. Now look, I'm going to keep the bars touching here. Just like that. I'll do a little bit different design here so we can distinct. From 130 to 135, we were up to 12. So that goes all the way to the top. And I'm gonna do a different design here so you can tell the difference. Again, if you want to color that in, that's fine. Then from 135 to 140, it jumps back down to 7. I keep the bars touching, and they look like this. And then finally 140 to just under 145, we're back to 1. So I'm going to try to make those just the same height as the originals. So there's your histogram right there. The bars are touching, and we get an idea of the shape of the distribution. And then if you look, part B says describe it. So we want to use our acronym that we used in the last couple sections. Remember, that was sucks. And so remember the shape, that's pretty roughly symmetric. There's really no skewness there. And so we would argue that that's roughly symmetric with a single peak. There's no outliers. Remember, U is unusual features. So there's no outliers here. Everything's kind of clustered together. The center, remember the center is the median. And so what we have is, if you look, our total number of data points is going to be 27. We had 30 total data points there. And so we want to figure out essentially where's number 15 at. And so 15 falls in that bin from 130 to 135 there, because 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 8 is 10, 10 and 12 is 22. So number 15 falls in that bin from 130 to less than 135. So what we say for the center is that the median falls in the interval from 130 to just under 135. We always find where that middle value is. And then remember, the last S is the spread. And so what we say is that our widths range from 119, that's our smallest one, millimeters, to our largest, which was 141. That's our spread. So just to recap, the way we describe a distribution is we look at the shape, that's the first S. U is any unusual features, which we're looking for outliers. The C is the center, where's the center fall? And then from there, the last S is the spread. Okay, what's the lowest value? How do we range to our highest value right there? So now from here, guys, go ahead, work through the 12 problems. Ms. Mosher has the key if you want to check your answers there. And then I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll keep going with this. So take care.